What up, y'all? What up, y'all? Welcome to the Ice Turner experience. Something you can't define, but you can only experience this through me. Let's get into some tunes.
9 times out of 10, niggas know I was gon' win. 9 times out of 10, I was gonna get a win. 9 times out of 10, I'ma come and get revenge. 9 times out of 10, I'm probably still again. Watching through the lens, keep it every day, consistent with a hit. Had a hand in hand, I could never be a brick. Don't you never say I sleep. Chasing honey since a kid, making money like a bitch. Make a couple bricks, but tall bitch. I nail it to the cross, beating out the walls. Dirty money, but I keep it clean like ice hall. Killer, but I would've settled for a night long. Never mind me, I don't hit it, y'all. Doggy dog world, staying on my paws. Spin this cash around, I ain't hit a ball. Slide it in that Euro 6, the color basketball. Pull up in that down chore, man, alright. Order me some down charts and some color bar. See they coming next when I want that Put from that, but she in the 9 times out of 10, niggas know I was gon' win. 9 times out of 10, I was gonna get a ring. 9 times out of 10, I'ma come and get revenge. 9 times out of 10, I'm probably sin again. Watching through the lens, keep it every day, consistent with a dick. Had a hand in hand, I can never be a brick. Don't you never say I sleep. Chasing honey since a kid, making money like a bitch. Grammys like a trophy, hard to keep it low. 9 times out of 10, dog, I know I get a roll. 9 out of my 10 friends rocking them a roll. I carry it in my ass, hard it going up. The promos I go just all white, got me feeling hot. 9 times out of 10, niggas knew I was gon' win. 9 times out of 10, I was gonna get a bitch. 9 times out of 10, I'ma come and get revenge. 9 times out of 10, I'll probably sin again. Watching through the lens, keep it every day, this is steady what I did. Had a hand in hand, I could never be a brick. Don't you never say I switch. Chasing honey since a kid, making money like a bitch.
Exactly. What's happening, y'all? Let me get into another joint before I get started.
Hey, one time, yeah, one time, yeah, 2 times, damn, 3 times, whip it up, right, tone it up, to the whip it up, Got stay for the pot, nigga got bins for the thighs, got lean on the rocks. A little shit did, got kids, just go ahead and leave with the pops. The deadbeat flow, couple little weird freak hoes, but they cool on the internet though. Yeah, I intercept hoes. Take a dream girl from your DMs and leave 'em on the interstate though. I do interrace show, black, white type, and Dubai French. I'm ballin' real hard, but what you got the bench? Shit cool nigga, but we on your peons, so what made no sense. We jump out the gym, above the rim, slam on the hole with the DJ Kim, MJ with the win. Got game through the hallway with the pen. You ballin' touche, that's okay, man, we ain't worried. King shit in these Spurries, stack paper, it ain't no hurry. Got some Douce, that's okay, I drink this Henny. Leaning like I'm Remy, told bitches, man, I got plenty. Ballin' touche, that's okay, man, we ain't worried. King shit in these Spurries, stack paper, it ain't no hurry. Got some Douce, that's okay, I drink this Henny. Leaning like I'm Remy, told bitches, man, I got plenty.
Damn, man, nigga, Max, how you get so fly, man? How you doing this? Man, goddamn, just killing me, this motherfucker.
Do this from a right wrist. Got boo, got bands. Dance for the lens, low hands. To the chop, kick back, got jams. G sky high for the grams. Cooking dough smell like reefer. Hallelujah, nigga, I'm a preacher. Mack talk got a bitch speech. Tell a little nigga you reach. My left wrist be hurting. Audio dope serving. Call me back, man, I'm working. You ballin' touche, that's okay, man, we ain't worried. King shit in these Spurries, stack paper, it ain't no hurry. Got some Douce, that's okay, I drink this Henny. Leaning like I'm Remy, told bitches, man, I got plenty. Ballin' touche, that's okay, man, we ain't worried. King shit in these Spurries, stack paper, it ain't no hurry. Got some Douce, that's okay, I drink this Henny. Leaning like I'm Remy, told bitches, man, I got plenty.
All right, how y'all doing out there? And welcome to the experience, you know. Life is good, you know. Make sure this joint ain't really, you know, drowning me out. Let me know. Let me turn this joint down just a little bit. You know, working these little working on these joints, right? You know, and you know, those that are new to the channel, welcome, and those that have been here since the beginning, kind of know how this thing is actually going to go. Yeah, man. One of my famous sayings, right? Infamous sayings was the more yeah, I think that worked right there. I like that. The more godly you are, the more potent your game is. Now, what people were, you have people that don't really, represent the game, really just boyfriends and husbands, Now, if you're that, I mean, that's fine, just stay in your lane, but you don't represent the game, I am the game, I am the concrete, I'm the light pole, I'm the sewage, the potholes, the fire hydrant, all the above, but I'm going to explain this to you, simplify it. Now, what I meant is by this, the more godly you are, the more effective your way of communication is. And, 85% of communication is nonverbal. I've walked you through it, through God Amongst Men, give you an idea, and sprinkles through, esoteric seduction, Mackology, the climax, wise as a serpent. The difference between Adam and the serpent is that, Adam was happy to be with the woman, or he thought he was with the woman. It was actually the first documented knock. He was knocked for his broad, Why is that? Because the serpent was the game. Game is growth, ambition, motivation, and excelling. He gave her an idea to excel. The game is really about securing the win. It is about taking advantage. It's, it's not so much, life is not about what you want, right? What you desire. It comes down to what you can leverage and what you can stay on top of, But you got to have the spiritual component first, because, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to understand that there's consequences that come with your actions. There's consequences that come with this lifestyle. Very few people can actually, live this, Now I'm going to speak on, things from the spiritual aspect. All right. The first woman you knock is not, the anatomical woman, is actually your mind. You got to break your mind. You got to break it apart and look at the components, a major part of this is, self-governance. But how can you govern something that you don't know, right? So, essentially you have to examine, who you are, examine your urges, examine your triggers, examine your weakness, examine your insecurities, and other, impurities, and learn to govern and correct it. Because if you don't learn to govern and correct it, someone's going to do that for you, and someone's going to take advantage of you. You know, another part of the game is, using your disadvantage to your advantage. You know, maybe you might not be right in the aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you might not be right in your wallets, man. You know what I'm saying? But see, the thing is, you Mac with your mind. You know what I'm saying? Not with your hand, not what you got in your hand. You lead with your mind. As I said before, you lead with your nuts, the same thing. Your mind and your nuts, really essentially the same thing. You dig? You know? And what did the Lord said? It says that in scripture, you can't go before the Lord with broken stones. You can't go to the Lord, with your nuts all crushed up and broken. Your mind all crushed up and broken, right? Gotta come correct. It means, being honest. But anyways, let's tap into certain things, right? We look at the mind, right? Because everything begins and ends in the mind, right? The mind, and what I mean by that is, the universal principle, right? The earth, 4 corners of the world, the 4 corners of your mind: earth, wind, fire, and water. The compass, the cross, the axis, the cube of your understanding, right? And as an aid, in that understanding, how the universal mind creates, this is where you can observe the action of your own mind, right? As I said before, because, that is the offspring of the one mind, right? That is brought forth in that like manner. See, the Son can do nothing of himself, but he that seeth the Father doing for what things soever he doeth. These are the sons that doeth in the like manner. Going back to what the mind of God, right? I can only do what the Father showed me in my vision, in my perspective. The more godly you are, the more potent or the more effective your game is, the more effective your conversation is, the more effective your movements are. You look at the king on the chessboard. I'm gonna walk you through that. Doesn't really have to make a lot of moves. But when he does move, it's powerful. Why is that? Because he's mastered patience. He's mastered practicing patience. Some people, don't have patience. In order to be a Mac, you gotta have patience, right? You gotta have patience to get your issue, to make sure you get all your issue, See, a man in his consciousness, or of the one mind, it comes down to that belief. You can't have, your mind all over the place. It's like in The Last Samurai. He said you missed the target because you had your mind on too many things, right? You dig? See, of that one mind, there's no sense in the apartness. See, look at the piece I was talking about as far as, what actual, affirmation is, right? Right. And when I broke that down, it's a triune effect: thought, feeling, action. It all has to be interlocked and connected. And through that affirmation, you can attune yourself to that being, to transmute and transmit, your ideas and desire for accomplishments through things, people, places, and situations. You dig? See, the mind is actually the starting point, of every act, every thought, every feeling. It's the common meeting of the ground of God, within the man. See, God is your mind, and cannot describe what God is through human language. It's something you can't describe, it's something you can't define, but you can only live it, right? People can only experience you. They can't describe you, you know? It's part of being what? MAGE. See, you know, you can't describe it, right? You can only, you know, experience it. You can only experience it, you know? This is where I am, right? Early in the morning. You know, I self-law and master, you know? I self-law and master of my mind, right? And that's the seat of my perception, you know? That is a resting place for my perspective, right? You know, if you don't have, you know, rest in your reasoning, right? Rest in your rest in your righteousness, and rest in your manhood, you're not qualified, you know? That's the way of a Mack. It's rest, you know? Mental rest, psychological rest, emotional rest, liberty. You know, you can't have rest without liberty, you know? You can't have things, right? The way you're supposed to have things, or the way you're capable of leveraging, you know? So it's really a peace of mind, or the peace of God, right? To have a peace of mind is to have a peace of God. Now, when you look at, you know, in the garden, how was Adam able to name the animals? You can't do that without clarity. You can't do that with a clear, you know, perspective. You can't name the name of the animals. You can't name the situation. You can't name things are. You can't call it out as you see it when you don't have a peace of mind. Really walking you through this, right? Now, the mind is your seat of the things that you see, hear, and feel. Now it's through the mind that you see the beauties of the earth, right? And of the sky, and of the melodies, and the music, and of the arts, because it's all one and the same. You know, the beauty of my mind is the musical, you know. The beauty of my demonstration is the arts. See? It's that silent shuttle of thought working in and out through, you know, cell and nerve waves, right? Into one harmonious whole, right? The myriad of moods within the mind, you know? And that's what you call life, you know? Do you give life? Look at the Aquarian age, right? You look at what he's pouring out of water, fresh water. And then right after, there's the Piscean age, live ideas with that water, you know? I'm giving you, you know, the spring of life, right? Spring water, spring you up. Then I'm giving you live ideas to go with. Yeah. The mind is the seat of perception and the resting place for perspective, you know? So you can't have a carnal mind and execute with this, you know? A true Mac just utilizes carnality. He's not of carnality, and his mind is pure. He's at the upper echelon, you know, the higher tier, right? Now, when you look at the mind, right, you know, it's a change and a charge of that mind. That's the very first, you know, requisite, you know, to the new life, right? You represent the new life, the fire, the ruach, the spirits, you know? See, the upper chambers, right, is what we can do. We can show you how to come up in yourself, you know? I show you how to come up in yourself. You're going to come up with my issue, You know, if I show you how to come up in yourself, you're gonna come up with my issue, and it's gonna be correct. You know, you know, the MAGE or the Mack represents the higher state of consciousness. You know, it's the kingdom of heaven. You know, and right there is the mist. You know, something that's tangible within the reality, something they can touch, something they can feel, right? Although they can't really explain. You know, they're of a finite matter, right? Finite matter, finite mind. You know, the 12 faculties of man. It's a state of mind that you can, you know, drift into. But there's 13 chakras. Bet you didn't really know that. You know? Now you can understand what the mind, you know, at a fixed state, you know, it's a combination of thoughts in the consciousness that is, you know, it's hard to change, you know, because the reason why it's hard to change is because those ideas have been crystallized, the Christos, you know, the Christ and the man, the God and the man, you know, the 360 effect, seeing things from a panoramic view. Because I can see it all, you know, being omnipresent and omniscient. You see it all, you know, before it's been played out. You see the play before it's played out. And you know how to work it to your advantage. See, the mortal mind can't do that because it's an error, you know. It's regenerate. And it's frail in its conscious state, right? So you have to look at like this. People interpret things with, you know, their fleshly understanding. You know, they don't understand the game from the spirit. You know, when you have what fleshly understanding, right? What happens? You have mixed thoughts. You know, you have you know, issues with fear and selfishness. You know, and what do they say about, you know, an unstable mind, right? An unstable man, right? He doesn't inherit the kingdom because he can't see the kingdom, right? And it's fear, right? That means that's an emotion, you know, disguising another emotion. Selfishness, helplessness. You know, why is that? Because, you know, your subconscious mind absorbs everything, and your greatest enemy is your distorted memory. You know, and what a Mac understands that there's 3 phases of the conscious mind, right? There's the subconscious, the superconscious, and the conscious. See, the superconscious is, you know, what we say is the Lord. You know, it's what makes you a God amongst men. You know, see, the superconscious mind transcends both the conscious and the subconscious phase of your mind as well as others. And it can work that harmoniously. You know, I can correct someone and not even notice that I corrected them. Now, let's get into this thing, VARs, that we call game. You know, I feel generous in this moment of just sharing this, you know, with you. See, I need you to understand what this is. You know, make no mistake. I gave you the idea of, you know, the principle and where it begins, right? Now I'm gonna show you in its expression. See, having game is the ability to navigate and you know, bring things, situations, and people into your favor. See, life isn't about what you want. as I said before, it's about what you can leverage. See, life is, a cold bitch, and the game is even colder. So those who can understand, can bear the crown of contentment in the truth thereof. I liken the game to, poker in one aspect, and I also liken it to chess. And the reason why I liken it to chess, when you look at it like this, from a macro perspective, not from a micro perspective, but from a macro perspective, that the castles, represent the up and down movements, the highs and the lows. That is your ally, because it teaches you how to be still, and you can't be still without self-awareness, and you can't be patient if you don't know what to be patient for, and why you should be patient for it, and how to be patient. And then you got the bishops, which represent the diagonal movements. They represent the politics of the game. Another way of putting it is that we're on angles. Everybody's on angles. Remember, I said there's levels to this, but there's also angles. Everyone's out to outmaneuver you and to take advantage, by capitalizing on your disadvantage. Remember, I said before, you can't correct a corrector. It means you got to be able to correct yourself before you put your feet on land and create a life for yourself. Now, when you think of what the other piece, the bishop, the bishop represents your principle, and the diagonal movements, that's your belief or your religion. The game is a religion. It's a binding thing. It binds you to something. And the pawns, they represent the movement, just one square forward. But they can only move, twice, or say like 2 squares forward, in the beginning. They're necessarily the peasants, right? They're the ones that get used, right? They get utilized by all the other pieces, the king, the queen. The queen, that represents your left brain. That represents your bottom bitch, is what most people would like to say, right? See, all these pieces represent the mindset, right? As well as the frame of mind, as well as the spirit, as well as the condition of where you are. And they determine how effective you are in this thing. See, the masters of the game are those who know how to work it in reverse. See, they are the MAGEs, the enchanters. See, a Mack is the magic. He is the formula for life and for execution. And going back to what I said, the more godly you are, the more potent your game is, right? Because why is that? Because you always have to go back to your soul. And that's the source, to neutralize yourself. What is neutralizing? Balance, correction. A lot of people don't have a mental drawing board. Remember, I said the 3 phases: conscious, subconscious, super conscious. You know, that's how it's done. It's the magie. It's the magie. People have said that to me before. It's like, yeah, you know the Bible, but it seems like you know it a lot more than what everybody else is talking about. Like, spell book. You know? And there's something about you. I can't really figure it out. Well, I believe I've said more in this 30 minutes than anybody can say on here. And, you know, I never put myself in categories because I'm beyond the GOAT at this point. The Ice Turner experience. The Ice Turner senior experience. You know, it's not the one who made you, but I am the one that raised you. You know. Anyways, you know, church is on the move, and you know what to do. You're an adult, right? So I ain't gotta sit here and tell you shit, right? You know what to do. You got a mind, right? You know how to use your brain. You know what was offered here, okay? Universal values, universal principle. You know. Bad comments. Sheila, blessings to you. Yes. Christ consciousness is a big responsibility, in my opinion. Your opinion is correct. It's a big responsibility. That's why I talk about guidance, you know, guidance over game, you know, because when you're in the game, you have guidance. I mean, when you're majoring it, and guidance is your ability to lead, to see and to foresee, you know, the forest through the trees, you know, it makes you unmovable, you know. And you've heard me say this before, you know, I can't afford to be emotional, you know. Not saying I don't have feelings. I have feelings. I'm just not going to be emotional, you know. I've seen enough things go left. And this is where you can basically tell, you know, the type of man that you're interacting with, you know. How he responds to things, how he reacts. Can't really find too many people that say that they've seen me react to things. They see me respond. There's some people that confuse a response from a reaction. See, I'm going to tell you the difference between a response and a reaction. A response is concrete. It's solid. You know what I'm saying? It has its own pattern. It's not going to be broken. It's not going to be all over the place. It's direct. It's a sniper. You know, my responses are effective. A reaction is not effective. It's defective. You know, that's not Mackish. And it's not mannish at all. You know? Because you can shave, right? Doesn't make you a man. Because you were born with a dick doesn't make you a man. It's a male. You know? You can tell a lot about somebody by what they complain about. Have you ever heard me complain about women and say, you know, they're perfect, or they're without sin, right? But what I'm telling you is that, you know, I'm not without power. You know, I change the temperature. I change the climate. You know, that's what I'm basically saying. So don't compare me to anybody. Don't see that I should do this with this person. You know, there's nobody like me in this space. Never be another me. You know, and there's nobody that represents this better than me. It's just, you know, it's not really opinions, it's facts. You know. But anyways, it's been lovely. I'm testing out this new equipment. I actually like this one. Kind of addicted to buying equipment now. In theater, that should be fun. You know. You know, I'm a turf baby. You know, I wasn't raised by the internet. I mean, you notice my conversation? It's delicious, man. But anyways, y'all be blessed. You know? I don't even think this even needs a part 2, man. This is it. No pressure. Let me end it with this. Let's do this. Let's do it with. Let's end it with this. I've been in a, you know.
My ghetto walks light, stepping out slick, probably fuck a mouth quick. Hey, then you're out, bitch. I'ma bust a slight move, hit a slight groove, type smooth, fucking with the right dude. Go talk that talk, hey, chickens get ball, play around, get chalk, bitches and ball, hey, get it wholesale, hotel, top shit, hey, pockets on sweat, I'm a pimp claim, get seen, snap and roasted, hoe play, bitch I'm Big Mac, don't get slack, keep a man tight, that's big fat, what you say, shout out all my mommies getting food stamps, straight from nuts, and your bank account got a few bands, straight from nuts, bouncing to the ounce in a new train, stunting for the summer with your new man, maybe I need to take a trip, man, out to California, hey, we smoking on the finest piff, man, you know you wanna join up, hey, I think I end up here again, man, I probably hit my low slim, dang, hey, I move a hoe like Fillmore Slim, man, it's all about the pimp gang, hey, what you say?
No, Rice, I know you're doing smooth shit most of the time, man, and that's cool, bro, but you need to let these hoes know what the fuck you talk about, man. You need to turn this motherfucker up a little bit, man. Let these niggas know what the fuck you saying for them, man.
What is bitch that hoe, make a tussie roll, get into the guap, I'ma set up shop for such a low fuss, on your sofa, pouring Perrier, for the soldiers, night shipping graveyard, moving 8 bars, OG Mack and shit, alright, pull your player card, get the damn loot, let me get him shoot, talking out of place, you gon' get the boot, bitch, do a somersault, acrobatic pimp, making pussy walk, dropping hella gems, can you fucking hear? Shining on the blade, player of the year. Maybe I need to take a trip, man. Out to California. Hey, we smoking on the finest piff, man. You know you wanna join us. Hey, I think I end up here again, man. I probably hit my little slim thing. I move a hoe like Fillmore Slim, man. It's all about the pimp game. Hey, what you say?
Now that's what the fuck I'm talking about right there. That's what the fuck I needed right there. That's what these hoes needed in this motherfucker, man. Hey, man, keep sending shots to the goddamn DJ booth. You know what I'm saying? It's the motherfucking chateau. It's a night at the goddamn chateau. It's your boy DJ Mo Green in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'ma keep spinning. We gonna keep winning. These haters gonna keep grinning. You dig?
What up, y'all? I'm gonna leave it at this, man. I just I want to add this, you know, this thought, you know, let this mind be in you, you know, for the rest of the day and for the rest of your days. You know, people believe in luck. People believe in luck, good luck, bad luck, blessings, cursings, all one and the same, similar rhyme, not exactly the same. Sometimes you can actually be blessed and it looks like you're cursed. Sometimes it looks like you're you're blessed, right? You just see some people that look like they're blessed, but they're actually cursed. You know. And what I mean by this is that there was nothing that I could stand on, you know, except for my mind. Early on, I had to learn to really develop my perspective, develop my self-awareness, develop my, you know, personality. When other people had different things to stand on, outer tapestries, you know, I figured out how to be the smartest person in the room, you know. And then going back to this thing where we call, is it Lady Luck? You know. Now, although, you know what I'm saying, at times we kind of have this, you know, this button romance together. But I just don't rely on her. Keep that in mind. I don't rely on her. You know? See, luck is something that just happens by chance. Whereas, you know, what I'm talking about is more like an introduction. See, others, you know, if you notice, you know, seek the game, you know, when really what it is, you know, it's introduced to you. You know, you don't choose it, it chooses you. You know, this lifestyle introduced me, you know, to all of it. You know, rules, regulations, everything according. Going back to what I'm saying, like when you hear these guys talk about one thing, is that they're mixed up. They're talking about, yeah, I be having this with them, and you be complaining. Okay. Now, if you're going your own way, right? And if you're saving yourself, you know what I'm saying? Then why you tripping off the bitch? I'm not saving myself. My body. Nigga. I'm free. And as I've said before, there's rules and regulations, you know, to this. That even these squares, you know, fail to realize, fail to recognize, or even can comprehend. And they're constantly in violation of those laws. Just in basic shit. This is basic stuff. Basic positioning, you know? And those immutable laws always punish them, you know? So you can't be perpetrating. You know, time is always against a lie. Time is always against you when you lie. You know? You could say you're the GOAT. You could say you're this, say you're that. I'm telling you, I'm the fucking truth. How about that? And nobody represents this game more effective than me. You know, I put my bag up for that against anybody. Okay. Okay, Chachi. I'm talking about anybody you can think of. Old, young, in between. You're actually listening to someone that is on top of the food chain, right? At the top, at the tippy of the top. You're welcome. New money, what's good with you? You know? You also got to keep this in mind, man. The number one thing, you know, of a MAGE, of a Mack, of a man of this elk, right? We understand the rule of thumb, right? The rule of thumb, pay attention to the thumb. You know? This is something that's well known. Even to a cornball that's perpetrating this shit. Right? You always have to apply this. You know? The rule of thumb to always check disrespect and to be in control of it. Right? Either it's verbal or physical. Right? You shouldn't be a doormat to anyone. Anyone. I'll throw it all on the table. It all begins in your mind and your spirit. I mean, even for a fucking job. You guys, you talking about being these guys are doormats in relationships. I'm not a doormat to anything. Even if I was an employee, right? I'm not a doormat to that shit. I know what to do. You don't tell me what to fucking do. I see what the script is. I'm going to abide by the rules and regulations of that. Okay? The game doesn't punish you. You punish yourself in it. When you don't know the law, you don't know your rights. You don't know your rights because you don't deserve your rights. Okay? But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that.
Alright, we about down to the last song of the night. You know, I'm about drunk, then a bitch.
We'll leave it with this song though.
Looking mean, you know, and always remember if you ain't clean, you can't get him a 20. Take him out, right?
For the grain, damn, get right. Beat the block, pop pussy all night for the man. Damn, on G. Cut the lights on, bitches know me, I'm the man. Damn, face up. Tripping off hoes, need to lace up, get your bands. Damn, count stack. I'ma do cheeseburger, whole back. God damn, name ring bells in the hood. Cuban link, let them know it's all good. Hey, slide through with the mob. Black biz, if you ever need a job, hit me up. An OG for the strain. Lux T, nah, bitch, it ain't hang. 15 for the T. Got the sluts on tame. Spot lane, better be pain for the grain. Damn, get right. Beat the block, pop pussy all night for the man. Damn, on G. Cut the lights on, bitches know me, I'm the man. Damn, face up. Tripping off hoes, need to lace up, get your bands. Damn, count stack. I'ma do cheeseburger, whole back. Hey, knock, I got a real joke. Your favorite rapper fake, and he still broke. Baby mama call me when she get close. Try me and get a body bag, zip clothes. And that's that. Last week got into a car crash. My new shit, better shit, all cash. The D nigga, I could call cash. I ain't doing shit, sipping on the brew. I know something that you can't do. Take a shower in your jewels. Sorry ass nigga need to take that shit back. Spend it all, make that shit back. That's what real G's do. Put my money in the EU. Wanna learn how to ball, I can teach you.
What is it to do, bitch? Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. You ain't got shit to do, bitch. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. You try and get some loot, bitch. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. You ain't got shit to do, bitch. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. Go ahead, hoe. Aight. I want everybody to get home safely tonight, you know what I'm saying? You don't gotta go home, but you gotta
get the fuck out of here.
You know what I'm saying? Stay sharp out there in that parking lot, cause them niggas do be motherfucking shoot, you know what I'm saying?
You dig?
Be smooth out there.
Blessings and peace, y'all.